Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast. I'm excited to have two guests on our show today from the Outsell team. We have Gary Marcotte. He's the Senior VP of Customer Engagement Innovation, and Matt Kristos. He's the Senior Manager of Analytics Services. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Well, listen, we have a lot to go over, and in just a few days is the Automotive Analytics and Attribution Summit, which is a perfect forum for the advanced technology that Outsell offers dealers and dealer groups, and also an opportunity for you to shine and show some of the new developments of your platform, which we'll get to in a few moments. But let's start with the basics. Gary, let me start with you. A dealer or dealer group who's not familiar with Outsell, how would you describe the product offering if you're in that elevator and you had 30 seconds to make that pitch?
Brian, I would tell you that Outsell is an AI-driven virtual lifecycle engagement platform. And that means personal messages will be automatically sent to people in all stages of the life cycle, carrying the dealer's message and helping to build better engagement, which means better loyalty and better long-term gross profit retention from each of those customers.
Well, Gary, that sounds great because especially with mid-size and larger dealer groups, it's very common to have multiple brands in any one market, right? So you could be the Weiler organization in Cincinnati, you could be the Morgan Auto Group in Florida, or the Brickell Marcotte Group in Florida as well. And my experience, Gary, has been each dealer is doing their marketing on their own in silos, and oftentimes customers are shared across those dealers. How inefficient or how much waste is in there when dealers operate marketing of their customer databases in silos?
Well, as you know, Brian, customers appear in multiple databases, and in siloed campaigns, each one of those databases is on a separate message track. And often I could be a lapsed servicer at one Honda store and a frequent servicer at another Honda store. So one guy is saying, come back, and giving out discounts, and the other one is saying, thanks for your service, and we're cannibalizing each other. Not to mention, we look like we don't know what we're doing. That's just one piece. The other piece is, as groups, we're sort of hiding our brand depth and hiding all of the special features that we offer. You know, customers change brands, Brian. About half the customers, when they repurchase, they buy a different brand. They don't just go to that same group branded dealership out of sort of natural habit. That has to be steered. It has to be nurtured. And personalized lifecycle marketing campaigns present that nudge. Brian, I know you have equity in your vehicle today, and I know you can get into another vehicle for not much more money. Consider this multitude of brands. You got a better chance of selling them. If Brian changes brands, odds are he's going to look to you because you came proactively with a proactive message. So that's one of the things I would tell groups. Unlock the secrets. Unlock your assets. Let freedom ring.
Well, Matt, let me say I like what Gary's saying, but I bought multiple cars. I'm 58 years old. The last few cars I've purchased have been from dealer groups that have multiple stores in my market. I have never once received an email from the dealer saying, hey, I see you bought your BMW and it's coming up for lease. I just want to let you know, we also have Mercedes in our group. We also have Honda and Toyota. So if you're thinking of leaving, the BMW family, we'd still like to have you as part of our larger dealer family. Matt, am I missing something? Because what Gary's saying makes complete sense to maximize the lifetime value of the customer, but it seems like way too much politics going on, and everybody's fighting over the customer and not thinking about the group's long-term financial strength.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a struggle, and I think the key to it is, you know, where that message is coming from. So, you know, if it's a message going out on behalf of the BMW dealership, you know, they're going to be promoting BMW. That's just the way it is. I mean, and that there's all sorts of compliance issues why it has to only have BMW. But, you know, there's a whole nother line of communications that can come from the group itself. And that's where you can get into the, you know, multi-brand marketing. And I think, you know, there's a lot of groups, you know, a lot of GMs that might have a problem with even that. And, you know, I understand that, but that's where I think, you know, that's going to take some time for everybody to kind of get there at this, you know, get to that same place, but that's where it needs to go. I mean, what's the point of a group if everybody's, you know, if you're not kind of working together? And, you know, you might, the Toyota owner might graduate to the Lexus, and that Lexus owner might, you know, have a kid that buys a Toyota. Don't you want to try to keep that all in the family, and you just, you know, kind of trade consumers a bit? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of politics, but I think, you know, the groups that really are able to work through that, you know, work through those conflicting priorities, are the ones that are going to win the long term.
Yeah, I think that it's practical to say you would want the store that has the current customer relationship to have first shot. But if the customer starts ghosting or not returning calls, I mean, there has to be some trigger that says, hey, you know, your lease is coming up. We've contacted you a few times, but I want to let you know that if you're thinking of a different brand, here's our family. I understand the politics. But Gary, let's talk about a more common problem. I recently took my Honda here in Florida in for service because the, you know, T2 service warning light came on, and I took it into service. After I serviced, about a week later, I got a direct mail piece. After that, I got 2 other emails from 2 other different parties within the dealer, reminding me to go to service. And I'm like, hey guys, I was just in there. So I sent a note to the manager. I say, listen, I'm getting service messages. I was just in for service. No one responded. And then another week later, I got another service message. Is this common? Was it just me, or is this happening all over the United States?
It's happening all over the United States. And it's nuts. Obviously, you know how you feel about it. It's tremendous. It's tremendously wasteful. It tells the customer we don't care about them because the messages are all over the place. And frankly, it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to have multiple systems doing the same thing. What we've done with Outsell, and including introducing a full service suite at NADA this year, was sort all that out so that the right communication comes to the right person at the right time with the right kind of offer, and it all reinforces itself. It's not a, you know, I sort of hearken it to, you know, flying over the neighborhood with a helicopter and dumping leaflets out of, you know, off the side of the helicopter. That's not how this works. This is precise, customized, personalized, and tailored to where that customer is along the way in that life cycle. And, you know, that Matt can tell you from the statistics, that's what moves people. Relevance creates engagement. Engagement creates retention.
Oh, Matt, I want to ask you a question specifically because, again, as I look back over my own, you know, consumer experience, I can't tell you how many times I bought a car, and within the first 6 months, I'm getting communications about a sale. You know, like, hey, I just bought a car. You know, I'm not buying another car. So, Matt, what can you tell dealers who are listening about the lift, or maybe the business sense of doing more data-driven marketing instead of broad sweeps? You know, everyone's getting this email blast, everyone's getting this service blast. What does the data tell us?
Yeah, I mean, the data is pretty clear, and you almost don't even need the data to really understand that. It's pretty obvious. And the problem is it's hard. It's hard to do, and a dealer doesn't always have the tools or the time to do that sort of thing. Particularly when they're dealing with multiple systems. They might have a sales marketing program. They might have some service marketing through a different vendor. They might do some equity marketing. They might, they've got all of these different streams of communication going. There's no way to coordinate all of that, in these disparate systems. And, another thing you're really losing when you're doing this is that the data is not talking to each other. So if you're if you're doing a communication on on a service marketing, they're not pushing sales, and they may not even have sales links, or they don't have sales follow-ups. So even if somebody is, even take the opposite example where you did buy 6 months ago and you shouldn't be in market, but you are for whatever reason, maybe it's a spouse or a child or something like that. We're going to pick up on that. If we send you your first service communication, and all of a sudden you're clicking around inventory and special offers and things like that, we're going to see that, and we're going to react to it. So it's kind of like you go from completely untargeted, which is where a lot of people were, and some still are, and that presents problems because you're not giving the right message. And then you go too far in the other direction, which is strictly time-based, where it's like, okay, you bought a car, now I'm not going to talk to you about sales for 12 months, and then everything's kind of planned out 5 years in advance.
Yep.
That's not the best way either. So it's really listening to the consumer and using their engagement as a way to determine where they are.
Great. So let's pick up on that, because some of the dealers may not understand how you do that. Now, currently, the Outsell platform is communicating with the customer database either at the single point or group level using direct mail, email, and social media. And when somebody clicks on a link on an email or clicks on an ad on Facebook or responds, by calling a certain number, all of those signals, right, are tied back to the customer, and it's based on the collection of all these shopping actions or conversion actions that your AI allows the resetting and customization of messaging. Is that a fair summary, Matt?
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep. So, I mean, we've got, as you said, all the online activities, all the offline activities, and we feed those all into the models, and we get those scored every night. So somebody might look like they're not interested in a new vehicle one day. We send out some communications. They start, heavily engaging with that sales content. That very next day, their score is going to jump up, and then we obviously take some time to kind of build and make sure that it's not just somebody kind of window shopping. But yeah, I mean, that is the key. That's the key to the whole thing. Is you cannot do it through business rules. There's too many variables. There's too many things going on, and it would just be not something that anybody could manage. So bringing that AI component into it, that technology, is really the way you kind of unlock that full value of the data.
Yeah, and when we talk about AI, some of the dealers may be a little like roll their eyes back, oh my God, another AI. But Outsell was really a pioneer with the Neuromotics engine, and early realizing that the thousands of potential touch points that a consumer in a dealer's DMS engages with over the year would be an impossible Rubik's Cube in scale. And so, Gary, I want to talk to you about this. Dealer groups are really saving tremendous amounts of money. I know recently you just had Niff from the Germain Automotive Group on an online panel, and Niff is a smart marketer, and the number of dealer groups that I know are using your tool and rave about tool, basically saying, look, there's no other way in scale that we can save money. Yet there's so many small to medium-sized dealer groups that still have one person doing sales retention, somebody doing equity mining, someone doing service marketing, someone else doing overall brand awareness. But Outsell can do it all. Why is there still resistance? Knowing that there's waste in siloed approach, what's the reason that people push back, Gary? Is it just they don't realize how much money they can really save?
Yeah, part of it is they don't realize how much money they can save. Part of it is they still want that hands-on approach where I can hit the buttons myself and I can customize, the starburst in the upper corner, or I can put in a specific offer, or if I decide on Thursday afternoon I want to run a campaign, I can go into my CRM and run it. So a lot of it is a comfort level, and what they don't realize that Matt was trying to explain is that how much better it performs when it's optimized, how much easier it is to manage when it's automated, how much configuration and customization you can still put in yourself, but how much better it all runs for a lot less money. And you don't have these giant staffs trying to do all this stuff manually. The system can do it mostly automated, and the staff just makes it better. Matt, would you add anything to that?
No, that was pretty good. I mean, the whole thing is designed to kind of be to run on its own with very, very little monitoring or managing by the dealer, unless they want to. We do have the ability to customize, and there are some on-demand campaigns, but it does also just kind of run, and you don't really need to watch it. So that kind of, it serves both types of customer.
So Matt, yes,
Brian,
go ahead, Gary.
I heard you say. I think I've heard you say this a bunch of times before. There are so many redundant systems in dealerships that are a waste of time, and frankly, a waste of manpower and a waste of money. And dealers could do themselves a favor by really rationalizing what's important, what works together, and what performs. There's a bunch of waste, and it's a shame.
Well, listen. I was talking to a dealer today. Let's just say a very profitable and successful dealer, and they basically called me for a marketing audit, which I do very often, and we reviewed, their campaigns. And they were like, this company is doing some Facebook and Google, and this company is doing some Facebook and Google, and then we're doing some Facebook. And I'm like, well, how are you coordinating all those three Facebook campaigns? They're like, we're not, And, I basically said, listen, there is absolutely no reason why you should have three cooks in we're talking about one channel. And, for the marketing managers or dealer principals or group managers listening to today's podcast, when you say, Matt, hey, things kind of run on their own, it's self-optimizing, the big question, or their eyes might light up, say, whoa, hold on. How do I know it's working? And the cool thing is, for dealer groups and individual stores, but in this past year, you've upgraded your group reporting suite. You will be supporting in Q1 a full Tableau implementation. This is great news for dealer groups because they do need custom reporting. They do need roll-up reporting. So for the dealer group managers listening to today's podcast, Matt, what comfort can you give them that the reports that you generate will give them confidence that their customers are being touched, how they're being, marketed to, what the engagement is? Give us a little feel for how you report on the great work that Outsell marketing and lifecycle automation is doing.
Sure. So, transparency has really been kind of a key value of Outsell, transparency in our reporting and data, for as long as we've been a company. So, and you really see that even in our, kind of standard reporting. Every consumer, if we say there's, attribution to a sale from one of our communications, you can click on that sale and you can see what they did that got them there. So, and it can be, you could have years of communications leading up to a sale, and you're able to see each individual engagement with that, with that consumer. So, to me, that's where those those are really the most impactful stories. You know, anybody can give you numbers, you know, aggregated numbers, and I think a lot of times people's, you know, just they don't really believe it. They don't trust it because they can't tie that to a person. So I think that's really, you know, a pretty important part of our reporting, and we take that through from, you know, individual dealer all the way to even the dealer group reporting, and we give that level of detail and transparency so you can really be sure that, you know, when we say, you know, that there was engagement here, we'll show you what it was, and, you know, who was doing what, and what transactions that might have led to. And, you know, with the group, on the group side in particular, you know, the interesting angle is going to be that kind of that consumer that exists across multiple dealerships and how they're interacting with each dealership. So that's you know, the coming Q1, that's really going to be, I think, the next step on the dealer group side, is really kind of building that out, because that's a view I don't think many dealer groups really have, that, you know, that kind of consumer migration from dealer to dealer. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm sure they don't. Recently, I bought a Honda here in Florida, and Carrie was interested in getting a new car, and she was interested in BMW, and we reached out to the local BMW store, which happened to be part of the same group. There was no acknowledgement or recognition that I was an existing customer within their group at all. And, you know, I think that was a missed opportunity. So I think getting a view on how brand unloyal or disloyal people are. I don't think I've bought the same car in a row. I mean, Carrie's kind of bopped around the last few cars. So, you know, to keep her happy in a dealer group would make sense, even though each individual store manager might fight that concept. But Matt, let me drill down in something you said, because I know dealers who are listening, and we take some things for granted. When you talk about transparency and attribution, if in a month someone bought a car and your report says, yes, we touched them, they would be able to go into that person and see, oh, they clicked twice on 2 social media campaigns, and this was the message, this is the ad they saw. They clicked 6 times on emails over the last, you know, year. This is what their engagement was. I mean, right? It's granular. Here's the things that led up to the sale. Did they respond? Did they call in? Did they email? Right? I mean, it's all the touch points that you can see before that transaction. Am I correct?
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep, all online and offline. You know, so we'll bring in all the sales, you know, or service transaction as well. So you kind of have all of that information on one screen.
Yeah,
right.
And Brian, you know, dealers hate black box algorithms that spit out a mysterious attribution model that says I'm responsible for X% of your sales. I mean, you know from all your experience that dealers hate that stuff. They just want to see what happened, which Matt explained. We show them what happened. We call it a link sale. We don't have a sophisticated attribution model that gets 28.3% credit for it. We just say, hey, we think we had something to do with it. Look at all the activity, but at the end of the day, it's your business. You're an adult. You're a smart guy. You decide.
That's right. That's right, Gary. Because listen, there's so many things. You know, I think TV has gotten the short end of the stick for a long time. You know, I was talking to a different dealer today, and they were talking about they can see a measured impact when they put together really great creative TV campaign. And when it's just price payment, they know it's more of like just following an OEM plan. I think radio in some markets, you know, still has an impact, and especially during COVID and less travel, I think radio, some of the stats that I've saw have seen an increase in listeners. So you're doing it right. You're just saying from the things that we can see, this is how they interacted. And I think that's fine for dealers, because they just want to know, listen, your email campaigns are getting delivered. Your social media campaigns are being clicked, and what did they do? I think that's really fair. You know, Gary, the platform has been upgraded with equity campaigns. It's also supporting a dealer's digital retailing strategies by making consumers aware that remote retailing is available and even helping draw attention to that. If a dealer group wanted to get an idea of the costs or savings associated with moving from multi-siloed approach to the Outsell platform, what does that process look like? Do they call you? Do they just call, the general sales number? Because, a dealer group could be quite complex in trying to figure out what that implementation would look like.
So we've got a pretty sensible sales process that we go through. They can obviously go to the website or call the numbers or reach out to any of the account executives that have contacted them over time. Lots of ways to get in touch. But one of the things we do is we spend a great deal of time with the marketing director, like a NIF, and some of the key general managers, and sort of walk through what their infrastructure looks like today. And we, add it all up. We have a series of worksheets that we go through that we look at what are you spending on what, and then we compare that to what our system could do to identify things we can't replace, but things that we could replace and be able to deliver them a savings. We also spend a great deal of, we call it the analysis, recommendations, and proposal process. We spend a great deal of time trying to get to know the dealership, understand their policies, how they do business, how their BDC works, how they interact with the other groups, what's mandated from the group, what's not, what's shared technology, all those kinds of stuff, so that our really experienced sales team can tailor a proposal for them that is sort of specific to how their group operates, right? Specific to how their dealership operates. So we're not trying to cram everybody into the same solution. And that's a very useful process that we use because, especially in the group world, everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's at a different state of evolution. Everybody has a different hierarchy, different geographic footprint. Everybody wants slightly different business roles. So there's this flexibility in configuration, but also a set of recommendations and coaching based on our experience for a way you might want to go with it. And that's critical to our process.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd like to just add is that dealers, if they were really honest, know that every 12 to 18 months, they seem to be changing their digital agency. This is, it's the merry-go-round of agency selection. I just want to be straight with every dealer who's listening. Don't tell me you don't think like this, but you go to a trade show, you chase the next best thing, and dealers are turning over websites and agencies every 18 to 24 months. But your customer database, that is your gold mine. That is your true value of the business. And you need a consistent marketing partner, someone who you can trust long-term for the maximizing of the lifetime value of each person. And for dealer groups, this is so important. And to tell you the truth, as the public companies are getting larger and larger, part of their whole valuation structure is, what is that return on equity? And if these dealer groups shared their secret sauce, part of that secret sauce is looking at the customers as part of the organization, not any one store, building the brand, whether it's an AutoNation or a Lithia or an Asbury. These are groups that realize the power of data, and they are not changing their lifecycle management company on a whim. And so I want to encourage dealers, yes, you may want to change who's running your tactical Facebook campaigns or who's running your tactical SEM, but the lifecycle management, maximizing the lifetime value of the people, especially for groups, cannot be done casually or done by a group of out-of-college marketing rookies, and you're putting your multi-million-dollar brand on the line. Matt, tell me about the workshop you're going to be doing at the Automotive Analytics and Attribution Summit, because dealers who attend have an opportunity to see 50+ keynotes, workshops, and panels, and all of that content is going to be online until the end of January to rewatch and share within their dealer group. What is Outsell going to be bringing to the table in your workshop?
Yeah, so kind of along the same, theme, we were looking specifically at digital retail and how it works with lifecycle marketing. So, we actually were talking about this before COVID. It obviously became even more important after that kind of hit. But what we wanted to see was, try to build that story out about kind of coordination of different strategies. So digital retail became very popular, or something that everybody knows they need to be doing. But just our experience, some dealers are better than others about just how visible that is on their website and their marketing. Do consumers even know what that is or what that means? So what we're presenting is just kind of how bringing those two things together and having consistent messaging really benefits all. So it's that compounding nature of getting all your ducks in a row and making sure you're going out there with consistent messaging.
Well, listen, I'm going to give a big amen to that. Digital retailing is not Field of Dreams. Build it and he will come. The customer needs to know that there's a faster, easier, mostly online way to purchase a car. And I couldn't agree with you more. Integrating the dealer's brand message or group brand message also with a digital retailing or remote retailing message is so critical and often overlooked. Well, I want to thank Matt and Gary for an amazing interview. And I'm really excited about the product development of Outsell and how it's continually evolving to serve dealer groups of any size. I really love the fact that the group reporting and the centralized decision tree to help maximizing the lifetime value of a customer makes so much sense. If this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, you should know that every week I interview industry leaders and disruptors that are helping move automotive retail to the next level of profitability. So make sure you check out the podcast. It's available on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and of course on my native website, brianpash.libsyn.com. And if you haven't had the opportunity to register for the Automotive Analytics and Attribution Summit, whether you attend it live or you purchase a ticket afterwards, all of the content, workshops, the keynotes, and speakers, a masterclass in automotive retail will be online for you to learn from and apply from November 16th all the way through January 31st. Thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to hosting you on a future podcast session. Have a great day.